Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Crystal Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the post-second screening of X-Men Days of Future Past for me. We're so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
We also have joining us AMC's very own production manager, Mr. Dennis Sen.
Hey guys, I also saw X-Men again last
night.
And we also have AMC's Miri Jetikin.
I also saw X-Men again last night in my dreams.
And director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, Mr. John Schnepp.
I did not see X-Men Magneto style last night. I'm going to see it Sunday.
Hey, listen, folks, before we get rolling with the show, I want to address something that came up. I know a lot of you guys who don't watch us live and you watch the show afterwards, you know, we take the show and we put the whole show up on our YouTube channel, and we also chop up the show into its individual segments. A lot of you guys noticed that our whole show, the entire show in one big video, was not uploaded yesterday, and it might not be for today's show, too. I don't know that yet. And a lot of you guys were writing to us and asking why. Without going into too many details, here's basically what happened. A third party wrongfully filed a content claim with YouTube against us. And as a result, and as is YouTube's policy, it triggered YouTube disabling a number of our YouTube functionalities, including the ability to put up a thumbnail, but most importantly, it disabled our ability to upload a video longer than 15 minutes long. Now, the third party in question has apologized to us, and they are now working with YouTube to try to correct the mistake and get this all worked out and get it all fixed. And we expect it to be fixed and worked out very, very soon. But we did just want to let you know why that show wasn't up yesterday, so you're just kind of caught up to speed. So now you're caught up to speed. So with that being said, let's actually get into the movie news today.
Yesterday, it was announced that Godzilla director Gareth Edwards has officially been signed on to direct the first Star Wars spin-off movie scheduled to hit AMC theaters in 2016. Still no details about what the spin-off movie will be, but there is a strong speculation that it could be either a Yoda, Boba Fett, or young Han Solo movie. John, what do you think of Gareth Edwards being brought on to direct the first Star Wars spin-off movie?
I'm a little bit torn. I was surprised, too. I was surprised. But I'm a little bit torn because, on one hand, I like Godzilla very much, but I didn't feel like the character development was the strength of the film. Some people would say it was a weakness, but I didn't really think it was strength. But on the other hand, ever since this dude made Monsters, people who know filmmaking have been dying to work with this guy. Lots of properties have been trying to get their claws into him. I get it, Godzilla claws. Anyway, they've been wanting to work with him. And so that being understood, it is not surprising that Star Wars would go after the guy. So was I surprised by it? Yeah, at first, like, what? Getting him to do it? But at the same time, it's new blood, it's fresh blood, so there's something inherently excited about it. Am I still a little bit nervous about it? Yes. But there's also an excitement that comes with it, so I'm kind of pumped. Dennis?
I was surprised as well, because I thought, you know, they were going to announce, okay, he's going to direct Godzilla 2, but instead it was this announcement, and I think it's interesting. It has to be a significant character. It has to be a Han Solo, a Boba Fett, or a Yoda, because why would they announce him so early? Like,
let's not forget, the movie just comes out in 2 years. We forget, because of Episode 7 coming out just next year, we forget the first spin-off movie is only 2 years away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they got to be moving on this thing.
And it has to be someone big. It can't be some new character they make up. It has to be someone that we already know. And
I hope not. You're probably right. I just hope not.
I agree with Gareth Edwards. I like his direction in Godzilla and in Monsters, but I am curious who they're going to choose, what character they're going to fit with him, because I don't see him as a fit with Han Solo. Because that has a humor, a snarkiness to the character that I haven't seen from Gareth Edwards' movies yet. And a Yoda is kind of more of a spiritual, you know, hopefully a spiritual journey for some of the Jedis that maybe he trains. Maybe Boba Fett. That might work with his visual style.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I was going to say most likely Boba Fett, just because I think that's the one that the script is most furthest along. They've been trying to figure out, I know Disney's been trying to figure out whether, like, how do we make a villain a hero? It's like, I don't know, watch some Westerns. You know, it's like,
no, it's true, yeah.
Seriously, it's not rocket science, but I think that's going to be the one. It fits with, I think it fits most with Gareth Edwards' style. You know, you can do a run and gun kind of film technique, add a little of his flavor to the Star Wars universe. Was I a little surprised by it? Sure. You know, I was also expecting, like, they got him lined up for Godzilla 2. which Tull from Legendary Pictures said,
Well,
yeah.
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. So anyway, Gareth Edwards, yes, I think he's going to be a great director on that. Did I have problems with Godzilla? I had a ton of problems with Godzilla, but I think they all stem from the script.
Yeah.
So,
Mary?
To your point about script and to your point about New Blood, I think it's exciting. I do think it's kind of a trepidatious excitement because he is New Blood, but he's also working with Gary Whitta, who's also New Blood. He wrote Book of Eli, which I didn't really like, but he comes from the video game world. He was one of the original editors of PC Gamer. He's a podcaster. He's a comic book writer. So he's a real storyteller. And I think it's kind of exciting that there is this new blood, that we're not relying on old standbys to bring us a property, that maybe these guys are the new guard. And
Right.
I'm optimistic. I hope they do a good job.
All right, what's next?
Following the announcement of Edwards directing the new Star Wars film, questions began to arise about the future of Godzilla 2 and if he would return to direct the sequel. Legendary Pictures CEO Thomas Tull addressed those questions by putting out the following statement. Garrett's filmmaking talent makes him one of his generation's most creative and visionary directors. The plan has always been for Garrett to direct a different film before we started on another Godzilla, but who knew it would be a Star Wars installment? We have a great plan in store for Godzilla fans, and I'm looking forward to see Garrett's imprint on the Star Wars universe. Dennis, your thoughts on Edwards directing both Godzilla 2 and the Star Wars film?
I think it's great, and I like that Legendary Pictures is supporting him. They released on Facebook like a picture like, congratulations, Gareth. What would they say, like, may the force be with you or something like that? But it does mean that we're going to see Godzilla later than we thought, probably in 2017, perhaps.
Probably 2018.
He's going to be a busy man.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I actually met Gareth Edwards very briefly a few years ago at NAB, at the National Association of Broadcasters, and he was at the Adobe booth talking about monsters, talking about how he used Premiere Pro and After Effects on it. And it's crazy for me. Now he's directing two of the largest movies of two large franchises.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I think he can do it, and hopefully he has time to do both.
Mary?
Yeah, I mean, would I like to see him do another Godzilla first? Kind of, because I think it would be nice to have him have a little bit more of that experience going into Star Wars. But I also feel like it's going to give him more experience for Godzilla, and I feel like he set up so much of the franchise with the first one. I'm really excited to see what he does now that we know what Godzilla is in this new iteration, and we can see him move forward into the second film and kind of really dive in. So it's okay.
He's pulling a bit of a Nolan here. So
Yeah.
you do one Godzilla movie, then another movie, then the next Godzilla movie,
he's going to
then
burn
another
out
movie.
otherwise, right?
Because
So-
since when is Star Wars another movie?
I know.
Or the other movie? No, I think
Point.
this is great. Although the only thing I'm a little apprehensive about is I don't know that I wanted to wait till late 2017, 2018 for the next Godzilla. But Tull says that was always the plan. So if that's the case, then I'm cool with it. Look, like I said, I didn't think the character development was the strength of Godzilla, but overall I really enjoyed the film, especially that last set piece. And to see him come back to that now with one Godzilla under his belt, coming back to it, learning as he's growing. This is like the first big major studio film he's done, and now he's got that under his belt.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see what he's going to do. My only apprehension is that it means waiting longer for the next Godzilla. Schnapp?
I kind of am reading between the lines with what Tull announced. I don't think Gareth is going to direct the next Godzilla. I think he was saying we always had thought that he would do another film and then do the next Godzilla, but now he's doing Star Wars. Congratulations to him. We're going to move forward with Godzilla. He's going to do Star Wars. They didn't say he's directing.
No.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought they confirmed it.
No, it's not official.
It's not official.
I have no
and-
doubt he'll do it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll wait because Godzilla's such a big hit that you're talking about literally waiting possibly 4 to 5 years for another Godzilla. Forget it. That would be me. I'd be like, look, you could do the third one after you're done with Boba Fett because that's going to be 2 years of your life with incredible effects and all this other stuff. You won't have time to even begin principal photography until 2016.
Right.
So you won't have a Godzilla for 2017. You're talking about 4 years from now. I don't think it services anyone to wait that long for Godzilla. Should just
point.
get on it. They've got a screenplay going. They can give him a producer's credit or something. He rocked the first one for Legendary. They got the money. He introduced the character. That's what I would say.
All right, folks, well, we've reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chris Lee's got a few other items in World of Movie News. She's going to run them down. Then Schnepp, Miri, Dennis, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
Warner Brothers is currently developing a prequel to the horror classic The Shining, which will tentatively be titled The Overlook Hotel. According to reports, WB has just offered the director's chair to Gravity director Alfonso Cuaron. Cuaron is also currently in talks with WB to direct the upcoming Harry Potter universe film Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Miri, buy or sell the idea of Cuaron directing The Overlook Hotel?
Surprisingly, I'm going to sell this because I sell the idea of this prequel from top to bottom. I think The Shining is pretty much one of the most perfect horror movies ever made. It redefined the genre. I don't feel like we need to revisit it. I don't know why it needs to be revisited. If they're going to get anyone to do it, I love Alfonso Cuaron. I love his work. I think everything he's written and directed has been wonderful. He just proved with Gravity that he could bring original IP to the table and make money. Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of a waste of talent for a guy who wrote Children of Men, who wrote Y Tu Mama Tambien and Gravity, to kind of give him this prequel and be like, okay, do this prequel. Instead of saying, well, you're a genius, so why don't you do something else for us? And we have faith in you as an artist. And I'm sure they're not saying they don't have faith in him by having him do the prequel. I just would kind of like to see him do more original content because we are in an age where there are so many sequels and remakes and prequels. It would kind of be nice to see him do more of his own stuff.
From his point of view, though, I can see where he's coming from because, look, like one of the things about like a Joss Whedon, right? What gives him now the blank check to do whatever he wants to do for the next few years was the fact that he went out and got a recognizable IP and made a huge commercial hit out of it, right? So that's why I think we see Alfonso is probably going to end up doing the new Harry Potter universe movie with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them because as he churns out big commercial success for the studios, it continues to write him blank checks to do whatever he wants to do. But I am with you. I sell this. Yeah. I don't want a prequel to The Shining. I wouldn't even mind so much a 10 years later at that hotel sequel. I don't want a prequel to it. I just don't. So for me, it's a sell. Schnepp?
Yeah, I'm going to hesitantly sell it as well. I mean, I think they've already done The Shining like 4 or 5 times. They've had like multiple TV versions of it after Kubrick. I know King was never happy with Kubrick's version. I love Kubrick's version. Right. Sorry, it's like I'm not going to apologize.
Don't apologize. Take that sorry back.
Yeah,
Why are you
not
apologizing?
Sorry. Why am I apologizing? What's wrong with me? I love that picture though of Tyrell. Looking at the Quran, you know, so super weird Blade Runner mix there. But yeah, I think the idea of doing a prequel is just straight up weird to me. I know that's why they threw in that guy because he was the bartender.
And he's weird.
Yeah, and he's weird. He's an awesome actor. I can't remember his name. But yeah, I mean, if it was a sequel, even then I would probably sell it because I agree with what you said. That guy's a rocking talent. I know Warner Brothers is trying to lock him down because Warner Brothers Potter. Then they're doing give him something else, lock him down for like 5 years.
Let him do his own thing.
But what
maybe
if
that's
what
part
he's
of the deal.
asking for?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
What if he's like, yo, I love The Shining, and I've always wanted to do another story. I mean,
that
that's possible, right?
I would change my mind. If I heard that Quran was like, I went after that sequel, I wanted to make it. I even wrote it. I'd be like, all right, I'm wrong. Do it, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Dennis?
I'm going to sell it as well for the same reasons you just said. I think The Shining's a classic, and it doesn't need a prequel, and I don't think it needs a sequel either. Cuaron's an amazing director. If he's already doing something that's someone else's property, like the Fantastic Beasts for Harry Potter, why not do something original? Because not only was Gravity original, it made a buttload of money.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's one thing if he made a small movie and didn't make that much, but he made a lot of money with that. And so I think he should focus more on that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what's next?
Can I just say the Overlook Hotel sounds like a TV show?
It does.
It's like the Bates
Sounds like a
Hotel.
Thursday night NBC sitcom to me, actually. All right, what's next?
Lionsgate and the WWE have entered into a 6-film deal, which they are calling the Action Six-Pack series. The first film will be a revenge movie called Vendetta, which centers on a hard-nosed detective who deliberately commits a crime to get thrown in prison, allowing him the chance to seek vengeance upon the criminal serving a life sentence for having brutally murdered the detective's wife. The film will feature WWE star Big Show. Schnepp, buy or sell the sounds of the Action Six-Pack series?
I will only buy this if all of the Six-Pack films are action comedies. That's all. Because it should be a comedy. I think the WWE lends itself to having that kind of fun feel. And a lot of the films that they've done in the past where they're like, I remember they tried to like make the whatever his name is, Scorpion, Spider guy.
Yeah,
He was like, I'm a killer. And they did a lot of, I know Lionsgate did a lot of those like weird, like scratchy trailers with like, I'm a guy jumping through a building. I'm going to kill you. You know what? Do you remember? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure that was the official title.
Yeah,
actually.
I'm a guy jumping through a building. I'm going to kill you. I don't remember what any of them were called. I didn't see any of them.
Well, there was the Marine and the Marine 2 and the Marine 3.
Not even those. It was the more horror-based one.
Right, there was the one they had with that, what was the wrestler's name? Kane. They had a run where he was like a dude with a mask killing people
they
in
had
the house.
Goldberg do one. I remember it was like,
They've got a
Goldberg.
new Leprechaun reboot.
There you go.
But they had The Call. The Call was really good.
Yes, it
The
had
Call
none
was
of the
very
W,
good.
but the one with Halle Berry, The Call, actually ended up being like a really
That's
good
a wrestling
film.
movie?
No,
No,
but it's made by
it's made by WWE.
Oh, wow.
How
And it
weird.
ended up being actually really good.
I'm just saying,
Who
with a
guessed?
title like the Six-Pack, or what's it called again?
Well, the movie
Action.
itself is
Action.
called
Action.
Vendetta, but the 6-film package are calling the Action Six-Pack.
The Action Six-Pack. I could drink a
Six-pack.
12-pack
It sounds like a
watching
nickname
one.
for my abs, yo.
Bam! Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, if they could have done a 12-pack, because that's what it would take for me to finish through the 90 minutes. But if they're going to go with the
40s.
Action Six-pack, you know, then I would preferably hope that when the box set came out, it would come like with a, you know, a beer case or something, a six-pack itself, the WWE, like, just, you know, we won't be using DVDs anymore. It'll just be you drink it. You know, I drank and watched the movie. Each six-pack is its own liquid film.
Here's the thing. What I think they should do is one of these Action Six-Pack movies is actually have Big Show and call it a sequel to Waterboy and actually have him as Captain Insano, which was what he was, right? Have a Captain Insano movie for heaven's sake. You know, I've met Big Show.
Yeah?
And the nickname, you think you get an idea of how huge this guy is by seeing him on TV. It's like when I met him, I think like the back of my head was in his navel or something like that. The dude is like huge. Look, oddly enough, I'm going to buy this. And the only reason I'm going to buy this is because practically it makes sense. These cheap little action films they make them for an extremely small amount of money, and they actually end up making them profit, which is why they're able to keep growing this new entertainment brand of theirs, is this WWE Studios. And so, in practicality's sake, it makes sense. Have I liked any of their films other than The Call? No, I haven't. I haven't liked any of their films where they've used one of their wrestlers, and that's what they do in all their films, basically. They even got Hornswoggle, the midget wrestler, to be in Black Pearl, although he's actually really fun to watch. But anyway, it makes sense from a business point of view. I can see why they're doing it, and if there's an audience for it, why not? So strangely enough, I'm going to buy it, Mary.
I'm going to sell it only because they've actually come right out and said that this is a platform for their wrestlers to transition into acting. And I kind of feel about wrestlers becoming actors the same way I feel about models becoming actors. It's two completely different skill sets. That's not to say that some wrestlers don't go on to have great careers. Look at Dwayne Johnson, obviously. But I just feel like they're two different skill sets. They don't always overlap all the time. So it's kind of like forcing something. I think you're right. I think if they wink at the audience a little bit, make it funny, then they have a chance. But I'm still going to sell it because I just feel like, for the most part, it might be a little painful to watch these performances for me.
Oh yeah, no, for me too. Dennis?
I'm going to sell it, and to go off what you're saying, yeah, if they're trying to transition the wrestlers, I like the Big Show, he's cool, but The Rock is a special case.
Yeah.
He's a one in a million.
Unique.
When he came on to WWF, that's what it really was called,
At the time.
WWF, not WWE. That's what I always know it
I
as.
remember those days.
The Rock, you knew he was something special. Like, he wasn't like the greatest wrestler. He didn't have the greatest wrestling skills, but you saw his on-mic skills. They were like unbelievable. And so you saw that he had the charisma to transition. If anyone could do it, it was going to be him. They're not going to find that again. That's just my take on it.
They've tried it with one of their guys. His name's Paul something or other. He's better known as Triple H.
Yeah.
Who's now like the son-in-law of the owner of the company and whatever. But they tried to really push him for a little while and get him into movies. They thought they could recapture that Rock, lightning in a bottle. Didn't work.
Yeah.
They tried it forever, ages ago, with Hulk Hogan. Did not work. You're right. But I don't really think they have aspirations about making the next Rock. I think they have aspirations just of broadening the appeal of their own brand. Per se, and that's the way I think they're going to go with
Well,
it.
especially because they're calling it Action Six-Pack. They're like,
Yeah.
like come at us, you know. I got a hat on. I'm ready to go. Hit play. Yeah, smash the wall in, you know.
All right, folks, I've got a special little segment here now, just a little quick editorial. First of all, I want to thank, I went to the AMC Burbank 16 last night at our Prime Theater to watch X-Men Days of Future Past again because the movie's just that good. And first of all, to all of you guys who stopped us and said hello and you know, were giving us really kind, encouraging words about the show, thanks so much. It was awesome meeting all of you. But really taken with how many people came up to me after the screening and said, John, awesome movie, I had such a great time, but I didn't get the after credit scene. So what I am about to do, I'm about to explain the after credit scene. Now, you might consider this a spoiler, and if you do, you may want to fast forward. But if you're somebody who doesn't, you know the next X-Men film coming is called X-Men Apocalypse. If you're somebody who has no idea what that means, it might benefit you to actually hear me explain the end credit scene and then stay and watch it so you actually understand what you're seeing. So if you haven't seen the film yet and you don't want to know anything about the post-credit scene, fast forward. Otherwise, keep listening because I'm going to give you a basic explanation for what's going on here. Okay, having given you that warning, the next villain in the next X-Men film, as we all know, is going to be Apocalypse. Now, the end credit scene starts with us seeing the desert. And I was sitting next to Dennis Zen the first time we saw this film. And as soon as the camera shot came up and you see the desert, I was like jabbing Dennis, because I knew exactly what it meant. And it was like 2,000, 3,000 years in the past in ancient Egypt. And you come across this, at the time, this scrawny little dude with kind of blue skin and red lips holding up his hands in pyramids, and you see thousands of worshipers who I can only assume were sandstormers or storm sanders, whatever they're called. I keep forgetting the name. And worshiping him, and you hear them chanting the name, En Saba Nur, which is Apocalypse's real birth name. Apocalypse was actually born like 5,000 years in the past. And as the camera pans around, you see these four dudes kind of off beside him on horses. Apocalypse always has his four horsemen. He interchanges them throughout history, but he's always got death, war, pestilence, and famine. And somebody, Archangel at some point was death, actually. Yeah. I think at one point Sabretooth was actually his war.
I think Jean Grey was someone, too.
I think he had Jean Grey for a while, too, at some point. I mean, so all this kind of stuff. But he's always got these four horsemen of Apocalypse that serve him. So that is what you're seeing. You're seeing, like, thousands of years ago, En Saba Nur Apocalypse is actually the first born mutant in the world. And throughout history. And he's basically immortal. And so he lives throughout history, and he's a constant X-Men fan. And, of course, he's the title character of, I think, the greatest storyline in comic book history, which is Age of Apocalypse. So when you see that on screen, that is who and what you are seeing with that. Did you guys want to add anything before we move on to Mailbag?
Aaron Taylor Johnson is him, isn't it? Wasn't that him? Aaron Taylor Johnson, the actor? It looked like him.
I don't think
That's
so.
what everybody was saying in my screening. They were like, is that Aaron Taylor Johnson?
No, because Aaron Taylor Johnson's arms aren't this wide.
I know. I just saw his face. Everybody thought that's who it was, but we don't know who the actor is. So.
No, and that actor's not going to be seen again.
No. And, Simon Kinberg actually even said, you're not going to see young Apocalypse, because Apocalypse that you're going to see in X-Men Apocalypse looks very different than the kid that we see in the post-credit scene of this film. He's massive and he's huge and he's the most powerful being in the world and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think that they're going to go with that look for Apocalypse? Like, I personally feel he'll be human-sized in the movie version.
I don't.
Yeah?
I think they're going to go much more menacing.
Yeah, they want to make it look him menacing.
But he could look menacing with the same kind of outfit, he's blue-skinned. I mean, it just feels like that would be such a... like, making him look like a sentinel would be weird.
No, he doesn't have to be that big, but
he's pretty big, though, in the comic
Yeah,
books.
he is, but I'm saying he doesn't have to be that big. He just has to be bigger than a normal person.
Like Prometheus, those engineer size?
Yeah, maybe that's... And I think, instead of going for what the classic cartoon look where he's got the big A on his belt buckle,
right, yeah.
I think they're going to go for the Age of Apocalypse look of him, which is far more menacing and whatever. So I think they're going to go with that. All right, folks. Well, now it is time for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email your questions to us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we're going to try to keep a couple of minutes at the end of the show for live questions as well. So if you're on Twitter, tweet to us at AMC Movie News. But for now, it's time for Mailbags. Chris Lee, what do we got?
Joel Wright writes, "Hey there, AMCers, love the show, and I've been watching since months before the Man of Steel review. With the recent releases of Batman vs. Superman as the official title, I really felt like Superman was taking a back seat in his own sequel. But then the gears started turning. Could this new movie not be a sequel at all, but simply be a team-up movie? Maybe there will be an actual Man of Steel 2 movie that would be a proper sequel to Man of Steel, just like Marvel's Phase 1, Phase 2, etc. Or am I simply naive and hoping for a proper Man of Steel sequel?"
No, I was actually talking to a friend of mine last night, and I said the exact same thing. I think at some point in the future we will see Man of Steel 2. And this is not, and I keep trying to tell people this, Superman's taking a back seat in his own sequel. Who says this is Superman's sequel? Who says this is his movie? This is the sequel of this new film universe. This is the second film of this film's universe. Nothing said it had to be Superman first, Batman second. And even if Superman's name was first, does that mean Batman's taking a back seat? No, not at all. But getting back to the actual question, yeah, I believe we are going to see a Man of Steel 2 sometime in the future, probably after Justice League. You guys have any other thoughts?
I think originally they were going to make it a Man of Steel 2 sequel, and then they're like, oh, let's put Batman in. Okay, and then all that went out the window. And the thing is, they will have a Man of Steel sequel. It'll be after Justice League, and it'll be called Man of Steel, whatever.
Yeah.
And you can either take it as Man of Steel 2, or you can take it as Man of Steel 3, but...
What about chronology, though? Like, you know, that's my question with these kinds of questions is Man of Steel came out, now, you know, Superman versus Batman. So where is this second film falling if they are going to do a Man of Steel sequel after this film?
Well, it's the same way with the Avengers, right?
With like
you had
Thor,
Captain America, Avengers, Captain America 2.
Right.
You know,
and
Thor,
also.
Captain America,
Yeah.
Thor
Yeah.
2. So it's probably going to go that way.
It'll fall into the if we're guessing right, we've all guessed in, you know, conjecture-wise about the script. It's like, yeah, Metropolis was messed up. Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne are trying to rebuild it. It just makes sense. And here's the thing: it's called Batman and Superman: Dawn of Justice. It's just a V, and the V is not versus. It's and. So just and VS is pronounced versus. First of all, V is and. So, I mean, I just want to clarify that because...
Well, I mean, but there's also, I think they are going to refer to it as versus because in the legal terminology, we were talking about this on the show yesterday, when you have a court case, say, Schnepp versus, versus Campia, it's just V. It's Schnepp v. Campia. And what we explained on the show yesterday, too, was that the first name is always the grieving party. It's the first name in a court case is always the party bringing the complaint. It's like, I have a problem with you. So if Schnepp was suing me, like he was coming after me, he's got a problem with me and he's coming after me, it would be, the court headline would be Schnepp v. Campia.
So I want to see a poster for that by tomorrow.
There probably will be.
All right, that's good. That's good to hear because I'd read a couple different versions of it, and then I had read about the court version. But it's weird that they would use a court version for the title.
It does, but it kind of suggests that I said this on the show yesterday too. That it feels like just with the title, it feels like the title is telling us Batman is coming after Superman.
I couldn't see
Batman's
the show.
got
Thanks,
the problem.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the show yesterday. Thanks, guys.
Any other things before we get to the live questions? No. All right, let's get to some live questions.
Oh, no, we still have another question before we get to the live questions.
Oh, we do? I totally forgot about that. Okay, let's get to the next question quick.
Got to keep you guys in line. Veronica A. writes, hey guys, John, I'm as much of a fan of the Thor franchise plus the Avengers as you are of the Star Wars. And it's fun to see how I sound to my friends by watching you. My question is simple. Do you think that if Maleficent does well with the box office and people like it, that there's a possibility for Marvel to rethink doing a Loki movie? Thanks and stay passionate.
No, I don't think it's going to have any effect, positive or negative, on it. I think, look, Loki is an interesting character because he is not a pure breed bad guy. He's not. In every movie they've had him in so far, he's had moments of moral conflict, and he's had moments of internal struggle and what not to do. And you see sometimes he almost breaks and just wants to hug Thor, but then gets stubborn about it and whatever. And that's what makes him such a great character. I think Marvel has no plans to do a Loki film, but I do think it's in Kevin Feige's mind. I believe it's one of those probably 20 projects that is on the possibility shelf. And they may go for it, but I don't think Maleficent will have any influence or impact on one or the other. Any other thoughts?
I saw Maleficent last night, and it's definitely a family film, too. So you have to consider that also, that Thor and Loki in this world is a little bit more of an adult universe, and Maleficent's really made for kids. I mean, it's made for all ages. It's PG, but it's really like the kind of thing you could take your little niece or nephew to. And I don't think the Loki movie would be the same. So I think they're actually two really different types of properties if a Loki movie were to even get made.
I just got to say, I do love that picture of Loki. I love that one.
I would say if Sony owned Thor and only Thor, that they would be like spinning off the Asgardian trio.
Oh, yeah.
They would have Fandral and Falstaff, and they'd have like Baldar the Brave is another film. We've got that lined up for 2017.
Who's Idris Elba again?
Hemdell. We've got Hemdell, an extra movie with him. They'd be doing that. But because it's Marvel proper, they've got so many incredible properties that's going to be phase 3, 4, 5, 6. And not to say anything that's bad about Loki, especially Hiddleston nails it. But they all belong together in the Thor franchise.
I agree.
think he's a perfect foil for Thor. He completes tweets Thor as his brother. That's always should be in there. He should always be in Thor.
That's the problem with making a standalone, because Loki is popular, but the problem is he's so tied to Thor, you have to have Thor in it. Might as well call it a Thor movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. All right, we said we would take a couple of questions from the Twitter stream, and we're going to do that. So we've only got a couple minutes left, so let's get through as many as we can.
Jacob Poritz wants to know, hey guys, love the show. Have you heard anything about Mission Impossible 5?
It's happening. Tom Cruise has already signed on for it. It's going to be happening. It's coming.
Do they have a director or writer?
Yeah, I
Yes,
forget.
we actually talked about it on AMC Movie
It's
Talk.
not Brad Bird, though. It's someone
No,
else.
yeah, it's somebody else. We'll have to look it up. But it is coming, and there is a director, and Tom Cruise is on.
Michael Ray Miller says, if you had to pick between a good writer or a good director, which one do you choose?
Oh, I'm good writer. I'm going to go with good writer. I don't want to have to choose, but I'll go with good writer. What do you guys think?
For a movie, I'd go, I mean, it's tough. I'd go with director.
I think writer too, because the script is the baseline. So if you have a bad script, I mean, a great director could maybe work on it a little. But
You know, I was about to say you made me change my mind. I'm going to go with director, but then you made me change my mind back to writer.
All right, I'm gonna go with both. Can I do that?
no.
As a director, I know you can transform a horrible script into something awesome, so I'm going to stick with director.
All right.
All right. No, okay, you changed my mind again. I'm gonna go with director. All right, what's next?
Jake Brewer wants to know if we could see Phoenix in the Apocalypse Saga now after the events of Days of Future Past.
You know what? We can't answer that question because we're getting in spoiler territory, so no comment.
Mike wants to know, what is your favorite or least favorite Stanley Kubrick film?
Whoa.
Yep.
I would go with my favorite. Is it what it is?
Yeah.
Favorite or least?
Least favorite would be The Killing. My favorite Stanley Kubrick would have to be Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I will go with Clockwork Orange. My least favorite, though, would be Eyes Wide Shut.
Really?
I liked Eyes Wide Shut.
That's because you're a pervert.
Well, I'm Canadian.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that?
I'm Canadian.
Us Canadians, we're basically perverts.
Favorite, I'd have to say, is The Shining, because I've seen it probably more than any other Kubrick film, and I think I've studied it at this point. Least favorite is Barry Lyndon. Yeah. Even though it's beautiful, it's so boring. Oh, God.
I will refute there. You should watch Barry Lyndon.
Yes,
it's
you
not
should.
boring.
It's
You just
boring.
need to
it is boring.
watch it in the afternoon.
It's beautiful.
These guys watch it at night and went to sleep. They
It's
didn't even
boring.
see it.
Yeah, my favorite is Clockwork Orange / Full Metal Jacket.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah, Barry Lyndon. It is boring. And not only that, the character's so unlikable.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be unlikable.
Yeah, but he's really unlikable.
It was shot with natural light, folks.
No, it's gorgeous.
Don't listen to
It is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, but...
All right, we got to get on to a couple more questions here. So what do we got next?
Brandon Pascoa wants to know how long we need to wait for a Swamp Thing reboot.
Oh, God.
Forever?
Please.
I'm not saying we should wait forever. I just don't see it happening anytime soon.
I want to see a Swamp Thing reboot doing all the Alan Moore stories. I volunteer. I'll direct it. Please, whoever owns the rights to Swamp Thing, call me.
Because the hard part is finding somebody willing to direct it, not finding somebody to
Yeah,
put up $50
that's-
million to find it.
Exactly what Campia said. He's correct. No, I know. No, everyone's like, Swamp Thing, what's going to happen with it? Well, let's start out in the swamp. No, it's a great series, especially you have to dig back into the Alan Moore stories. They're great. They introduce Constantine. They introduce all these
But
elements.
will they? Because somebody can put up that money.
Someone should. Someone
Not
should make it.
We're not talking should.
I think when when a producer's like, wow, there's untold millions to be made from Swamp Thing, it'll happen.
Okay, what's next?
Edward Morin wants to know if there's any news or updates on a Spawn reboot or sequel.
It depends who you talk to.
If you talk to Todd McFarlane,
Todd McFarlane, if you talk,
it's right around the corner.
It's coming. It's coming. It's like it's like tomorrow. It'll be out. Todd McFarlane's been, and I love Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but this dude has been talking. Oh yeah, I'm doing another Swan movie for 6 years.
Yeah.
No longer, dude.
I mean, yeah,
12.
probably like, oh yeah, it's coming.
Since
oh yeah,
the last one
Since
came out.
98.
We're right on the cusp of a new one. He's been talking about it so much that. Look, do I think it's going to happen at some point? Yes, but I'm no longer listening to anything about Spawn until the cameras are rolling. Until that happens, I'm just tuned
Till the
out.
catering trucks pull up.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's what
pretty
most
much.
comic book creators, especially the Image guys, were always like pimping their movies. Like Rob Liefeld had like 30 movies in production.
Yeah.
For always.
For
You know, so if
always.
you're talking now, he's got
For
Shaft is
always.
getting made. I got a Bad Rock movie. Son, I got millions of movies all happening.
Youngblood.
Youngblood, the fourth generation.
And
you know,
you've
whatever.
seen how many? 0.
Right. So I mean, at least McFarlane only has one film that he keeps saying is going to happen.
Right.
So we can give him that.
All right, let's take a couple quick more.
Drew Bender wants to know, with the the success of Godzilla and planned sequel, what does that mean for Pacific Rim 2?
We've taken this question a few times. I honestly don't think anything, because for every positive you could say about it, there's also a negative. The positive, hey, a giant monster movie success, that could help the idea of Pacific Rim 2. Yes, but now there's a fear of, looking, anything you put out, any monster you put out now is going to pale to Godzilla. So there's that. That kind of works against it at the same time. So honestly, I think it's a wash. I don't think we're going to see a Pacific Rim 2. That's not a straight-to-home video or to whatever. I hope we do, and I think there's a chance. I just said, if I had to put money on it right now, the understanding the way Del Toro likes to increase the scale of whenever he thinks equal. Remember, he said himself, I'm only doing a Hellboy 3 if I can make it a $200 million film and blah, blah, blah. And that's just the way Del Toro minds work. And that's part of what makes him a genius. But it's also part of what I think is going to keep them from doing a Pacific Rim 2. Dennis?
I think Godzilla helps it, but for the long run. I think we'll maybe see a Pacific Rim 2, but it'll be far, far in the future.
Ugh, can I argue that and I just say immediately go into production on Pacific Rim 2? The longer you wait, the more the awesomeness of Pacific Rim will fade. Like, I think Godzilla was a great, remember, we all want to see giant monsters, giant robots. Pacific Rim was a hit. Godzilla's an even bigger hit. I think Pacific Rim, subtitle something something, would be a giant hit if they come out with it in the next 3 years. If it comes out 10 years from now, no one will remember it. It'll be like Starship Troopers Marauder, right? You don't even know what I'm talking about.
I've got a tattoo right now.
But what about the Guillermo del Toro directing thing, though? Because will he come back for to your point, if it's too much money, they'll just get another director and then it won't be the same.
Right. That's not, I don't want that. Dump truck the money to Guillermo del Toro's house.
Remember, they had to fight tooth and nail in every foreign market they could to just crawl over that break-even mark. Right. And I just don't know that Legendary is in the position, because we heard what Tull said about a Hellboy 3. Hey, I hope that you guys get to do it someday. He never said we're going to do it. I think he's going to have the same feeling about Pacific Rim. But I agree with you. If you're going to do it, strike while the iron's hot. Do it as soon as possible, because I agree with you. The longer we wait, I think it diminishes the chances we're going to see it. All right, folks, listen, we've run all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of AMC Movie Talk. Don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC theaters right now, including the aforementioned X-Men Days of Future Past, which is awesome. Keep your eye open for our AMC spoilers review of that as well. But head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater, showtime, and your movie ticket information. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Click that thumbs up button on the video as well. Just lets us know that you like what we're doing here. And also, if you want an audio-only version of this show, make sure you look in the description of this video and you'll find the link to our podcast audio feed. So I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, starting to my left, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHeroPro.
Sitting to my immediate right, the one and the only Miss Miri Jedikin. Miri, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Miri the Jedi.
And, of course, writer-director of the upcoming Swamp Thing remake, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, @JohnSchnepp. And I just did a great interview with Lorenzo de Bonaventura, an amazing producer, great guy for The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. So if you want to donate to it, go to schneppzone.com/SupermanLives. Help me get some finishing funds. Thanks.
And, of course, sitting over there, our lovely hostess today, Miss Chris Lee Kennedy. Chris Lee, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Chris Lee. And don't forget, we're not here Monday.
Yeah, that's right, folks. No AMC Movie Talk on Monday. We're going to be taking the Memorial Day weekend off. I don't know what Memorial Day is, being Canadian, but it's a day off. That's awesome. But I hear it's a really good one, too. I hear it's a very...
Yeah.
What is... Actually, help me. What is Memorial Day here?
It's very important.
It's for veterans.
Yeah.
Okay, in Canada, we call it Veterans Day.
It's different.
Well, we have Veterans
We have
Day
a Veterans
and we
Day.
have Memorial Day.
Really?
Yeah, they're two separate
That's
days.
It's
to
an
honor
awesome
our,
holiday.
To honor
Awesome
our,
holiday.
Our
Honor our
troops.
troops.
Right.
That's
what it's
right.
for.
Awesome
All
holiday,
troops.
then. So make sure you enjoy yours as we will be enjoying ours. And make sure to say thanks to any troops you may know in your life. So thanks again for joining us, folks. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.